Welcome back to the Cutty and Govy Show. We're on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Apple. We're here in our new studio, and our merchandise, unfortunately, our website is down right now because all our merchandise is sold out. We had to reorder all our merchandise because it was sold out right away, Govy.
Everybody wants to wear
Everybody wants
or
it.
drink from our mugs.
And we are working on the hats with the adjustable pieces so that it'll fit any head, because our heads are very large from being podcast superstars here. Anyway, our buddy Govy didn't have such a great week on his football picks, and on our reels, that was one of the biggest things that everybody was poking at, Govy's picks. Let's go over his old picks and some of his new picks, because some of the games I think were robbed.
Well, the old picks, I had a tough week. I had West Virginia, where I had a guy that forgot that he was on the punt team, and instead of him blocking for the guy that was returning the punt, he actually tackled him. So that, he did. It happened, and that turned around the game, and we lost that game.
Did you get your money back when that happened?
No, but that was just like you had to see him on the sideline looking up at the screen, realizing he was on the he forgot what his role was. But, I got to be like a relief pitcher in baseball. You give up that home run. Hopefully you get back. Other than the guy, Craig, the guy from the Philadelphia Phillies, who gave up, lost 2 games. Matter of fact, that Phillies game, if they would have left him, if he missed his flight going out to Arizona, they would have won they would have been in the World Series.
Well, the Phillies game, it was the 7th game last night, and Arizona just had unbelievable pitching. Their pitching was unbelievable. And as cold as it was that night in the stadium last night, the Phillies were that cold at the plate. It was horrible. 4-2 game.
They should have won. It's a shame, but part of being a Philadelphia sports fan is you live with that.
Govy, you're jumping around. What are your picks for this week?
Okay, so my picks for this week.
Come on, Govy,
right, so my picks for this week.
You want to pick
Clemson.
This week.
Go with Clemson. They had a tough loss against University of Miami in overtime, so they're going to bounce back against North Carolina State in a big way. Give -10. This is their whole season. If they don't win this game, I don't even know if they make a bowl game. So this is it for them. And you got players that are going to be in the NFL in the first round, so they want to go out a little bit in style. I like Colorado, plus 17.5 points over UCLA.
That's a lot of points.
I know. Deion's going to make a comeback.
You like Colorado?
I like Colorado.
Wow.
And then in the NFL, I like the Philadelphia Eagles over Washington -6.5.
Division game.
Because it's the second time they've played.
Yeah.
And the Eagles kind of came out flat the last time. They have a nice win against Miami, and their next game is against Dallas. And they want to go into Dallas, not with people second guessing them. So I think.
Well, that was one of your picks, the Eagles game.
They won.
They won. And they beat
covered.
The spread. It was 2.5.
But that was they actually played really well. So I like them, and I like the Texans over Carolina -3. They have they're playing good. They're playing good football, and they had a coaching change. So it was they're turning their season around.
All right, so those are our picks of the week. Hopefully, we'll do better this week. Now,
go into winners.
What's that?
We can go right into winners and losers.
No. Let's talk about scandals.
Okay.
Well, every week we have to talk about the next idiot that nearly lost his job. This guy didn't lose his job. Adam Aram from AMC. He was basically, it's the movie theater chain. He was basically broke during COVID. And then they had that meme stock thing happen with GameStop and everything. And his stock exploded because of the shorts. He ended up pocketing $200 million himself. And here we have him. He's a married guy, and he's texting. He got catfished.
He got catfished.
Well, I didn't know what catfished was. I just learned out what catfish was last week. With Adam Aaron. Why don't you describe? Can you describe?
Basically, catfish is you think you're talking to someone on the
hundreds
phone,
of texts,
and you could be thinking it's a gorgeous girl, and it could end up being it's a guy, and he's just sitting there, and you're opening up your whole life and everything, and telling him everything you want to do, and
told her about past affairs. Anyway, she jacked him up, tried to shake him down. He didn't want to pay. So what'd he do? He did a mea culpa, told the FBI, told his wife that he was doing this, and
kids.
he didn't pay, and he still has his job. So now that's the next biggest schmuck that's about to lose his job. He didn't lose his job, but I mean he's humiliated, and it's probably the worst business deal he can ever have if his wife leaves him, because that's half his money. But here we go on our winners and losers of the week. The winners of the week, obviously, are the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Rangers.
And the Texas Rangers.
Now, George W. Bush used to own the Texas Rangers. He was one of the owners before he became president. So they're in the World Series, folks. Another winner, which Govy's not going to like this, is Bud Light. Govy Kreskin over here. Go ahead, Govy.
It doesn't mean I'm wrong here. I think Bud Light I think they made a great decision. They basically are now the beer of choice of the UFC. Dana White, they signed a 6-year deal, $100 million a year. Basically,
right,
and they needed the UFC, and Dana White, that's like it's a gift to him. It's free money it came in. It's their largest sponsor ever, and I don't think the people that watch UFC are going to be drinking the beer. So it's sort of like stealing the money, and Bud Light had no choice. They had to do something to try to get this crowd back.
All right, but Bud Light's resurrected, Govy. They're back.
Who said they're back yet?
They're back. They got 100 in the UFC.
They paid $100 million.
They're down $28 billion in market cap. That's it. They're coming back.
And going through, it's pretty funny. There's another winner is the guy who
is this a winner?
Yeah, this is going to be a winner. It's the guy who is going to be taking Mad Dog Russo's spot on the radio waves in New York, because his job just came available, because Mad Dog Russo said if the Philadelphia Phillies do not beat the Arizona, he will retire. And
he's got to retire.
He's sticking to it. Do you believe? How many times do you hear someone say what they're going to do? How many times do you see a celebrity like Cher saying, if Donald Trump won the presidency, I'm moving out of the country, and they don't move? He literally, all these years on the radio wave, says if Arizona comes back and beats the Philadelphia Phillies after they were down 2-0, he will retire from his radio show. And he stepped down.
So another winner is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is now selling T-shirts with his picture on it.
His mugshot.
His mugshot that says, "Miss me yet?" or "Miss me now?" Because of all this nonsense, going around. Well, not nonsense, all the crap in the world. He's got he has a shirt that he's selling now that says, "You miss me now." So let's talk about our losers of the week, because there's a lot more losers. Number one is Dave Chappelle. He's an idiot. I've never heard anybody. I mean, you had Mel Gibson. You had Will Smith.
I liked him. I thought he was great, and it's just a shame that,
Who, Dave Chappelle?
I liked him. I thought he was funny, but he's no longer to me. It's like I don't care about him anymore. To me, he's like done.
Dave Chappelle was doing a concert in Boston, and he's a comedian, if you don't know him, and he stood up there and defended Hamas and the Palestinians. And half his audience was Jewish, and they stood up and left.
Right, but it wasn't in a joking way. It wasn't no. Sometimes he does a thing with a joke with transgenders, but this wasn't a joke. He was just being his opinion, and it just.
I mean, how stupid. How hard is it to become a gigantic comedian star? It's gigantically hard. And go on in 50 seconds. I mean, this guy ruined his career in one show.
He surrounded himself by Jewish people. The whole comedian field is a lot of Jewish people. So I mean, I don't understand. I just don't understand it. So
Is Chris Rock Jewish?
no, he's not. He's
Larry
not.
David is.
No, but
Jerry Seinfeld is.
Yeah, but speaking of Chris Rock, you can go to a person that wanted to take. He wanted to take out that Jada Pinkett Smith, and I would put her in the loser category.
Jada Pinkett Smith, you know, she's now been separated 6 years from Will Smith. Let's get her off of TV. Who gives a shit about you, Jada Pinkett Smith? I mean, I'm tired of looking at her. I'm tired of hearing that she fucked this guy. And
didn't he say, keep my wife out of your fucking mouth? And all of a sudden, she won't leave us alone.
Please.
I mean, she won't leave us alone. She keeps that. Then the book and the this and the stories. Like, who cares about
Who
this?
cares?
Right.
I mean, and Will Smith, who cares? They're done. They're finished.
Right.
Goodbye.
Right.
Then another loser of the week are all these Ivy League colleges with these protests. And all the presidents of these schools. I mean, I met a guy, or a guy that I know. I saw him the other night at a local restaurant. And he's a big University of Pennsylvania, Wharton School Business graduate. The guy's 84 years old, and he tells me he just took U of P out of his will. I mean, this is how far people are going. They're so upset over this.
Well, it's embarrassing. You know, I saw someone. At the hotel the other day, and he was wearing a Penn hat. And someone said to him, take that hat off. Like, you know, like who would have thought that if you wore a University of Pennsylvania hat, that someone would ask you to take it off, that it's offensive right now?
Well, the question is, I have a child that's going to go to college very soon, and he's a brilliant kid, perfect score on his SATs, ACTs. And the question is, does he apply to an Ivy League school now with all this controversy going on at Harvard?
It's not just
Princeton,
Ivy League. It's not just
University
Ivy League.
of Pennsylvania. I guess
MIT was one.
Yeah, that's
NYU
true.
was another.
It's true. Maybe, yeah, it's true. And then, you know, I was just doing the math. Well, we talked about it. 30 to 38% of the students in these Ivy League schools identify with the LGBTQ community.
Right.
25% are Hamas supporters and protesters. Now you're at 63%. That only leaves you 37% for normal kids. I mean, these colleges, it seems like, well, I'm not saying that these people are not normal. It just seems like down the middle kids is only...
Well, explain me one thing. If you are going to an Ivy League school and you are for... you know, the LGBTQ community, and how can you be for that cause, or, you know, that ideal, and then you're for Palestinians? Now, Palestine is different than Hamas, because Hamas is a terrorist group living in Palestine. But even Palestinians still don't believe in the LGBT community. Matter of fact, they would kill you. So it's... So to me, I don't quite understand how how you can be for both of them.
You can't be, because, you know, I guess over in the Middle East, the LGBTQ community is not welcomed.
Right. So then how can they be doing these walkouts in school right now? And
you can't be. It can't be. So you have...
But they are.
Yeah, but now you have 63%, so it's another one. Then, of course, we have the squad. You know,
right.
They're losers. I mean, come on. They've proven with drone footage, they've proven with forensics that this hospital, 500 people didn't lose their life. Now it's only like 12 people, which is still a lot of people. But it's proven that Israel did not send that bomb over there.
But what it shows...
And they're screaming.
Yeah, but what it shows is what's scary, where I think the United States needs to wake up, is they only care about being reelected. So the United States has to worry about who's coming into our country. So, for instance, Tlaib, she represents Dearborn, Michigan. And Dearborn, Michigan has the largest Palestinian community in the United States. If she would ever say, you know what, it was Palestine that actually took down the hospital. They would maybe not vote for her to be in Congress. So she would rather keep the lie going so she can come back to Congress, even though it's a lie. And that's why we have pockets around this country that really don't represent the United States, just like Omar represents Somalians in Minnesota. So she's only going to worry about the people voting for her, even if it's true or not true.
It's really terrible. I mean, where is the honesty? I mean, be honest.
Well,
and then, of course, we have, if you're talking about Michigan, we have the UAW strike. I mean, who really cares? I mean, these guys are out of work now 12 weeks. They get $100 a day strike pay. So if you're making $2,000 a week, that's $400 a day. So they're going negative $300 a day. 12 weeks times $2,000 a week is $24,000. I don't care what kind of increase they get. Do the math. They're not going to get their money back. And then all these guys and all these gals that work for the UAW have a pension plan. And the pension plan probably has a lot of General Motors and Ford stock in it, which is going to make their stock plummet if they can't win. The stock's going to go down.
Well, the stock, just to know, when the strike started, the stock was at $15.50. Ford. Right now, Ford is $11.75.
So there you go. So now they have their money in their pension plan at Ford. So they're losing their paycheck for 12 or 13 weeks, and now they're losing a large share of their pension because, well, yeah, they're losing.
And they're coming into an economy where now the economy keeps getting worse. So now even if you want to finance a car, because of the way interest rates are, it costs you more money to finance a car. So most people are just going to sit tight for a while.
So I don't understand the business agents. I don't understand what they're doing with these people. You drive by these car lots. The cars used to be 4 inches apart. Now they're 1 inch apart because there's so many cars on the lot. It's just crazy what they're asking their workers to do. And now I think it's 45,000 people are picketing the UAW for the UAW.
But you know what's crazy? It's who do they listen to? Who's giving them the advice? The president of the UAW? It's almost like the same thing in the Ivy League schools. Like for crisis management. Like if you were teaching a course on business and you're in there, how could you be going to an Ivy League school when you're watching the way the presidents handle a crisis?
Right.
I mean, I'm turning around and I'm looking at the president of Harvard or Penn. They're asking for them to step down. Like, how they're making every wrong decision possible. So don't they have their own crisis management team? Can't they ask someone for help?
Well, don't forget that Joe Biden taught crisis management at University of Pennsylvania. He did get $1 million for that. I don't think he showed up at a class.
I'm just saying, so where's the like, you're taking a business class where all of a sudden you got people boycotting the people that are hiring lawyers, hiring people from Harvard. I mean, don't they see that this isn't working for them?
It's crazy. I mean, the most important thing a CEO of a company can do is crisis management, or a CEO of a union. And think about what's going on. You have 45,000 people not collecting a paycheck. Then you have companies like Ford. If they have to pay this money, they're going to have to pass it through so that you and I, when we go buy our next Ford truck, we're going to have to pay more money for it. If we don't pay more money for it, Ford loses money. If Ford loses money, their stock goes down, and the UAW employees who have stock in their pension plans lose money. It's just a lose-lose deal. I just don't understand it. And the last loser of the week, we have Piss Pot Pete Buttigieg.
Is he still around? I mean, this guy, you have no idea where he's located. I mean, literally, for the first time in my life, there is a pilot on Alaskan Airlines who was not even a backup pilot. He was just a pilot that they were giving a ride to in the cockpit, and he decides he's going to empty the fuel tank and kill 83 passengers on a plane.
Well, they're the winners, the 83
The
passengers.
83 are a winner. They are the winners, because that is absolutely crazy But by the way, he blamed it on that he took magic mushrooms, which are legal in Seattle. So,
Okay, folks, we're going to remind you our Treasury Secretary,
Right.
Janice Yellen, when she was over in China,
they gave her magic mushrooms.
they gave her with her meal magic mushrooms, which caused this pilot to try and kill 83 people on a plane.
Right. And she said she didn't feel any effects, but this pilot wanted to let the fuel out of the jet. So,
And where's Piss Pop Pete on this? Has he apologized?
Well,
has
that's
he
the
done
question.
Has he done a press conference? Has he said, folks, don't worry about the planes. If you're on a plane, you're going to be fine because we have an audience here. This is so nice. All right.
So if you were going to have your first, say, kamikaze, American kamikaze, don't you think that Mayor Pete should be able to get out there and say that will never happen again, that they have to put some sort of restrictions? Then a guy sitting in the cockpit.
It's very unsettling. I was on a plane to go to Brazil this summer, and there were 400 or 500 people on the plane, and you're sitting up there. And by the way, if this guy's represented by a union and he wants more money, pay it. I mean, he's flying us, 12 hours, 400 people on a plane. But don't you want to know who's up there and what his qualifications are, and if he's psychologically fit to fly this plane? I mean, where is Piss Pop Pete on this?
Right. I agree.
It's terrible. Anyway, so this is a subject that we want to talk about. It's what's happening in the news today. It's all the stuff about Israel, and Govy and I are on different sides of the big issue here, and we want to fight over it on the show. I do not believe, I understand everything, but I'm going to give my reasons why, and you can give your reasons why. I do not believe Israel should invade Gaza, and I'll tell you why. Number one, there's going to be 2 million refugees. Where the hell are they going to go? Egypt doesn't want them. Israel doesn't want them. Nobody wants them. So where are all these 2 million refugees? And put that in perspective with the United States of America. We're trying to deal with 6 million refugees, that cross the border. 2 million in a little country like Israel is ridiculous. Number two, if they invade Gaza, 20,000 kids are going to die. At least Israeli soldiers are going to die, as well as all the Palestinians, the Hamas people. Number three, somebody's going to have to pay to rebuild this shithole of a country. After you flatten it and make it beachfront property, somebody's going to have to rebuild it. Number four, you're going to waste billions and billions of dollars in missiles and tanks and all kinds of stuff like that. Number five, Hezbollah is going to attack. I mean, once you go into Gaza and start destroying that, Hezbollah is attacking. My solution is don't go in there and flatten the country. Don't kill these kids. Don't cause 2 million refugees. Let Israel get their SEAL Team 6s. Let them get their death teams and let them figure a way to go after the bad guys and kill the bad guys with their Delta Force guys, flood the tunnels. I believe that the hostages are they probably put 40 of them aside. They're probably feeding them, and the other 80 or 200 or how many's left are probably dead by now. So I just think attacking and going in and making Gaza beachfront property is a big mistake.
And I disagree with that 100%.
Of course you do. I mean, we thought about well, by the way, Govy and I, prior to our show, we do get together for 7 or 10 minutes to discuss our subject.
Right. And, sometimes we're on the same side, a lot of times. But this is, you're brought up with never again. So Jews from the Holocaust, their trade... their slogan basically is never again. Well, now it happened. It happened. So now you can't... now, there's a big difference between retaliating and going to war. Now, it's been 50 years that the United States has been retaliating, but they've never gone to war in 50 years. They now declared war. So now retaliating isn't just sending a rocket over, doing that. Hamas will just keep coming back. So this is just always going to keep happening.
But if you go in there and flatten the country, how's that stop Hamas from? If 2 million of them go to Lebanon or Egypt or wherever the hell they've
no one wants
escaped.
them. No one wants them. Why is it that no one wants them?
They've already escaped. What's the point of go destroying the buildings?
You move them down. It's sort of like you got to tell them we're going to move down and we're going to now bomb just the sites where they kept the weapons. So now you have to flatten just where they keep weapons. They have all the sites. Israel knows it might be behind a school. It could be by a nursery school. It could be by a hospital. But they got to take out. Where all the missiles that are being launched their way. If you keep listening to Hamas, where they basically said they needed oil, and that all of a sudden the aid was going to come in. Well, Israel sent out a thing. They showed the picture of all the oil that they're sitting on. So it's a lie. They have plenty of oil. Let Hamas give oil.
But when
to
you
their
go
people.
when you go in there and flatten this country with bulldozers and bombs, and you're sending 20,000 Israeli soldiers in there that are going to do hand-to-hand combat with not their best. It's not the leaders. The leaders are gone. They're in Switzerland in their chateaus. I mean, the Israeli soldiers are going to, and every colonel, every admiral, everybody on TV, Petraeus or Jack Keenan, 4-star general, all say it's the worst kind of combat, hand-to-hand combat. They're going to have to go into somebody's home territory. No
one's arguing that. But the thing that you got to look at is the hostage that even was released. She said it was like a spider web down there. There's 1,000 of these mazes that are going on down there.
So flood it with water. Put gas down there. Kill everybody in there. That's it. It's over.
Well, I'm okay with if you have to do it that way. That's one thing. But the other thing that you could do is if you look at what Palestine is right now, is a lot of it is they neglected building it up. Hamas used everything for their own arsenal. So if you flatten it, and Israel decides to rebuild it with the United States' help or the rest of the world, and you can rebuild it and promise to make it really nice, but get Hamas out. Maybe you have to put some sort of Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, make it a group people of that are running the country until it stabilizes. Rebuild it, but rebuild it so nice that you could explain to the Palestinians that you got to free them. If you get rid of...
How do you decide who's what? They all look the same.
No, it has nothing to do. It's right now they voted to put Hamas in and they're scared. If you listen to some Palestinians, they have no choice. So they're held captive. If you get rid of Hamas, maybe Palestinians can live peacefully. But right now,
they've tried that for 70 years. It just doesn't work. I mean, we tried to run Afghanistan. It doesn't work. We've tried to run Iraq. It doesn't work.
Who wants to live next to an enemy? If you're going to sit there...
What are you going to do? I mean, you know,
you're going to level it. You're going to level it, and that's what it is. And you're going to maybe have to have some refugees are going to. Right now, you can move them to one area, rebuild it, and then move them back to another area. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit ugly. Look at Ukraine. It's a little ugly for where these people are being displaced and everything. That's part of war. This isn't a retaliation. This is war. So if you ask the Ukrainians what happened to their houses, well, Russia bombed it. They went after civilians. So now I look at it where maybe Jordan has to step to the plate. Maybe Egypt has to step to the plate.
But none of them are willing to step to the plate.
Why isn't that they don't want?
Because they don't want Palestinians and Hamas in their country, destroying their country. They don't want their country. They don't want the virus getting in their country.
Well, Israel doesn't want it either. They look at it like it's a little bit like Hamas is like a cancer in there. And what do you do when you have a cancer? You got to cut it out.
Well,
you got to cut out the cancer.
I believe Bibi Netanyahu is at fault for this. He kept his eye off the ball with that Supreme Court bullshit or whatever was going on there a month ago, and they weren't paying attention, and they got invaded. 1,400 Israeli people died, and now he's trying to create a diversion by having 300,000 troops on the border with guns and tanks and bulldozers and going in there and destroying physically Gaza. And by the way, I have no love for Gaza. I don't give a shit about Gaza. I just care about the Israeli kids, these soldiers that are going to die. And what's the end result? You're going to have 2 million refugees all over the place.
But you know what?
And 5 took down the World Trade Center.
I do care about Gaza, and I do care about Palestinians that want to be free. The problem that we have right now is, for years and years, the world hasn't been educated. So Jews have been educated because they're brought up knowing this situation. They understand what's going on. But the rest of the world is just sitting there saying, why is Israel occupying these people? Why aren't they? They don't understand that if they had a two-state situation, Hamas doesn't want that, who runs Palestine. They want all Jews to be extinct. Period. So even if they wiped out all the Jews, the Palestinians wouldn't be free. They would still be under Hamas's rule. They don't even care about the Palestinians. They use them as shields. So I think they have to do a much better job, Israel, United States, the rest of the world, of educating the world of who is Hamas. I mean, it's ridiculous to see all these demonstrations in the United States of people taking Hamas aside. If you look at the numbers, it's no longer Republican versus Democrats. They're actually on the same side. It's actually a generational gap. So if you're older than, say, 35, 40 years old, 90% are for Israel. But if you're younger than 35, it's almost 50-50 that are for Israel. Why? Why is there a disconnect from the younger people? Why don't they understand what's going on in that region? And that has to do with who is teaching them. Is it the Columbia professor? Is it the Cornell professor? Is it the Penn president, the Harvard president? So I think that you have to win the
Yeah, but don't you think by going in there and flattening that country and killing millions, well, you're not going to kill millions of people, killing whatever amount of people in Gaza, don't you think there'll be more protests on these campuses? Don't you think the hate for Jews will be more?
When Assad used chemical warfare on his own people in Syria, where was the demonstrations of the kids walking out on campuses? He used chemical warfare. Now, if I said to you, how about they just went into all the tunnels and they just used the chemical down there and they wiped out everybody that's below in the tunnel, and they sent out a warning. They sent out flyers and they say, anybody who's in the tunnel is going to die. Would that be okay with you?
Yeah.
If they gave them a warning?
Yeah.
And they had to use a chemical.
Yeah.
Because, water,
Sure.
I don't know about water. And they said, okay, so there's going to be some innocent people down there that are going to use them as weapons. It could be the hostages.
Well, you're talking about 20, 30,000 soldiers dying on the Israeli side. I think
and Palestinians who are innocent.
I think other than maybe 10 or 20 of these hostages that they took to the side and they kept them in good health so that they can parade them out front and release 2 a week and think it's going to stall things, I think everybody else is dead or tortured. In fact, one of the ladies that was released this week said she was tortured, didn't she?
No,
the grandmother, I think she said she was
tortured.
But
they actually, just to let you know, one of them said, listen, they actually took care of them. They actually thought this thing out so much that they actually had feminine products. They had tampons for the women. They were prepared for this. They had shampoo for them that they actually had a medical doctor that was there 24/7 to take care of them, which is bizarre. So, that's one issue. I just think if you thought that it's okay to use chemical warfare, then hey, that's easier than bombing them.
Yeah, I would rather do that.
Isn't that still the same thing, though? Isn't that the same thing as flattening it?
No. Because you can't get through. You're going to have to send soldiers in there, do hand-to-hand combat. Everybody on TV says this is going to be a nightmare. This is the worst kind of warfare, and it's deadly. And it's kind of like a baseball team going to a home game in another person's stadium. I mean, these guys live there. They're in and out of the tunnels all the time. They know how the tunnels are. Many of these soldiers, 300,000 kids, were reservists that just came up. They probably haven't held a rifle in years. I mean,
But
these
going in
kids are
there
not
is
trained.
after you do the thing with the tunnels, you still got to go in there and like try to get out all the terrorists there. You still got to have a land situation to look behind certain things. You don't have to like maybe listen. If you're going to flush out all the people underneath, maybe the good people are on top. So that's one thing. I mean, look, Israel has to protect Hezbollah. They're going to start firing rockets, and I think right now the big thing is, Joe Biden keeps saying the word, if you do anything, don't. He's mentioned don't 10 times. Since he's mentioned the word don't, the United States embassies and military has been attacked 17 times.
Terrible.
So at one point, does Joe Biden say they crossed the don't line and one of those ships that are sitting there has to fire something back? I mean, how long? How long is it?
Well, he did send the 2 ships there. They're out. They're right.
But he said don't. They did. So now they crossed the line.
I think if Iran does something, he's going to have to do something. If Iran makes
Iran doesn't have to. They can just let their factions do it for them. They can let Hezbollah do it. They can let Hamas do it. They can let people in Iraq do it. They're letting little cells do it. So what are we going to do? Are we going to like attack Iran?
Well, it's interesting because now we have a brand new Speaker of the House as of this afternoon. So Mike Johnson. So are things going to start happening in terms of money going to Israel, money going to Ukraine, things starting to the budget getting passed again?
Well, his first thing that he's going to do, it's going to be the first confrontation with Joe Biden, is going to be that plan that Joe Biden wanted of $100 billion, and he divided it with like $70 billion to Ukraine and $15 billion to Israel, and then the rest going to the southern border. Just by the way, to let people in, not even to secure the border, but to process more people to come in. The first thing they're going to do, the House right now, is they're going to separate this bill. And they want to know, the first thing is Israel. They want to know how much money's going to Israel.
Will that get bipartisan support?
Well, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
The House is going to do it. They're going to put it in the Senate. Now, there's a lot of senators right now that are up for re-election. And all of a sudden, they have a choice to give Israel the money or hold them hostage. Right now, they need this money. So what are they going to do? They're going to pass this bill. Then they're going to come back for money with Ukraine. And then the House is going to say, okay, show me where the money is being sent. We've already sent all this money. Ukraine's going to have to show where the money's going. Are we paying for military? Are we paying for their schools? Are we rebuilding it? Who's making the money on rebuilding it? Is the Clinton Foundation making money? They're going to have to prove where the money's going. And also, by the way, how are they doing in the war? Are we winning? Are they losing? Like, where is Ukraine in this war? Is it forever war?
Well, how do they do that quickly to get their money? I mean, to prove where the money was spent, it'll take a while. I mean,
well, they should be able to account for where all the money's going.
When Zelensky's wife was here, there was an article that she was in New York shopping. She spent $1.1 million in an afternoon in New York.
I read that like at Cartier, but you know what? I'm not quite sure if that's true. I'm not sure. I'm not saying it's not, but I would have a hard time believing.
Did Govy Watch and Jewelry Company get a piece of that?
No. But I have a hard time believing she would do that. Why I don't believe it is, why would she go into a store in public and do that? Why not just have someone from Cartier meet her in a hotel room and bring her what she wants and no one knows? I mean, so I don't believe that happened. But
so we have a new Speaker of the House,
Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson. So tell us who Mike Johnson is. I never even heard of the guy.
He's a congressman from Louisiana. So now,
so he's third in line for presidency now. You have the president, the vice president. Right. Speaker of the House is number 3.
Right. And then you would end up. Then I guess it would go down to Schumer, who would be
head of the Senate.
Right. And then you would basically have Scalise, who is of the House. He's second for the House. Now, Scalise is also from Louisiana. So the nice thing is that if you are Speaker of the House, you get the private jet to use to go back and forth.
You get your own private jet.
So now he could take, at least he could take Scalise with him because they're both going back to New Orleans and or Louisiana somewhere. So I think they finally united. I think that's going to be great for the country. Trump gave the blessing, and that's who he is. By the way, Mike Johnson was also one of the lead people to defend Trump in his impeachment. And listen, the January 6th thing that's coming up, there's all these videos of the Palestinians that took over the Capitol. They took over the Capitol where they weren't allowed to. I haven't seen one arrest yet. Not one person has been arrested when they did that. So where's Garland for that?
Yeah, where is Garland right now? Is he around? Or is he on vacation? I haven't seen him in a little while.
With all this uprising, with all these protests, I mean, he was worried about all the inner, terrorists in our country, but all of a sudden he disappeared.
So now, do you think that we're going to have a terrorist attack? With
yes.
all,
yes, 100%.
Because we live down here in beautiful downtown Boca, and there's quite a large number of the Jewish population down here in front of these communities. I was talking to a police officer this morning in the supermarket, because what they've done is, instead of sell the old police cars, they keep them, and they now have them in front of a lot of these country club communities. Just nobody's sitting in the police car.
I see that.
But the windows are blacked out,
right.
So you drive by, you think a cop is sitting there,
right? Just to try to be
proactive. And it's pretty cool. The cop told me that, that's what they're doing, and it's a great idea that, somebody thought about it.
They're not there. They're there. They don't care about their own life. They're going to go in, do what they want, and all of a sudden our country will go into a panic, and they were going to sit there and they're going to say, right now they're looking at Joe Biden. And now he wants to run as he's the wartime president, which is like a joke because he was going to be the COVID president. So now you got Joe Biden, who I find it embarrassing today. The Australian prime minister was there. And after he's there, you're allowed to ask 2 questions. He takes 2 questions from the Australian prime minister and the and Biden. You had to submit your questions. So he already has his answer. So when he calls in the guy Joe from the USA,
Australian guy or Joe Biden?
Joe Biden.
Okay.
So when he calls in the guy from the USA Today, he says, "Hi, Joe," and then Joe gives Joe is also the name for the reporter for the USA Today. He all of a sudden gives his question, and Joe gets to read his response. Except this time the guy had a follow-up question. And when he asked the follow-up question, Joe wasn't really prepared. It was and you saw how he was a fish out of water on a simple question. And I just think that if you are the president of the United States, you owe it to this country to be able to take a question and answer it and not give a prepared statement. This is the time of war. Under this guy, you have the world is on fire. You have.
But that might be a strategy. His strategy is not to answer questions because he's afraid that he'll reveal information.
So I'm going to throw you a little curveball right now.
Do it, Govy.
Okay, so is the strategy to have Governor Newsom meeting Xi of China today?
Governor Newsom meeting Xi. Well, that's the backup plan.
I mean,
that's the backup
if you're Biden, you've got to sit there and say, why is he in China? Soon to be in Israel. Why is a governor that's not running for president? So let's say Nikki Haley. Let's say Governor DeSantis. I get it. They're running for president. They want to maybe go out there and see what terms. This guy kept saying, I'm not running for president. Why is he there?
Well, he's there because he's their backup plan. He's the backup plan. That's the strategy.
I think Biden's the backup plan. They're going to finagle away. So right now, the Democrats are telling you Joe Biden isn't the answer, and he is now in charge of the Israeli war, the Ukraine war. China's going to be trying to take over Taiwan.
Inflation.
Inflation, our southern border, crime that's going out through
crime in all the cities.
Crime, Target's leaving, Walgreens leaving, Nordstrom's
Chaining
closing.
Up cases.
Right. So everybody's leaving. People are on strike. That's who.
Oh, yeah, the strike. He's a union president.
Right. So we have Joe handling. And yet 2 days ago, you have a rapper, 50 Cent, looking at a picture of Joe Biden laying out on the beach in Delaware saying, come on. I mean, how can he sit there and take a nap?
Well, I did see President Trump on Saturday. He did look fantastic. He lost maybe 25 pounds.
Wow.
He, he looks fantastic. He sounds great. He had a big group of people around him. I think that
You wouldn't know he's being indicted 40 times and everything. I mean, this guy, who would you rather have? He's cool as a cucumber, am I right?
He was cool as a cucumber. He looks great. He had a big group of people with him at breakfast, and he looked like he's ready
That's
to
who
come
you
back.
want.
He's ready to come back.
Listen, it's not by accident that Fox News, their ratings are going through the roof. And it's because you have liberals who are sitting there saying, Joe Biden is an idiot. And now they're listening to their MSNBC broadcasts who are taking the Hamas side, basically, and they're going to Fox, and Fox is embracing Israel. Embracing Israel. It is 90% positive. And people,
Well, CNN's pretty good, too.
they're not as much as Fox. And
I think they're pretty good.
well, people are turning on to Fox. Their ratings have gone up 44%. And
Well, CNN's ratings went from 2 million households to 3. I mean, it went.
so I mean, people are discovering Fox, and you know what? When they want to turn on the news to see what's going on in Israel right now, and you have a choice of who to listen to, you are going to turn on Fox News, because the New York Times, who you were an avid reader of, the people that watch MSNBC and CNN, they got the whole story wrong on the hospital, and they don't even want you to think that they were wrong. They're still trying to defend that.
It's crazy, and I don't love this Secretary of Defense. I think he, you want a tough like Petraeus. You want some
Let me ask you one.
Stormin Norman Schwarzkopf. Remember him? He was
yeah,
great. You want some kick-ass dude up there.
Let me ask you one question. Tell me the story that is so perfect for Trump. Tell me about Milley, who ran our military, and the guy just stepped down and retired. But tell him the story that Trump tells only like Trump could tell.
Well, Trump tells this story when General Milley, who was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, was trying to convince Donald Trump with Afghanistan that it was cheaper to leave a $100 million aircraft, F-16 or F-15 or whatever the stealth aircraft. It's cheaper to leave it in Afghanistan and just take the soldiers home. And Trump said to him, let me try and understand this. You fill the plane up with a tank of gas. How much does a tank of gas cost? And then you fly a $100 million aircraft back to the United States.
Or not even just to Germany.
Or Germany or Pakistan, a friendly country. So Trump says, this guy's a fucking idiot. I mean, all you need is a tank of gas to take a $100 million aircraft away, and this guy's saying, leave it, it's cheaper.
That's when he knew he had a problem.
He knew he had a problem.
Right, and that's why Joe Biden let this guy talk him into leaving $80 billion.
$80 billion. And by the way, they're finding that in the war now.
Right.
A lot of the equipment the United States
is American equipment.
Is American equipment
that we're fighting.
We're fighting back. Anyway, Govy, this went so fast.
Right.
I'm glad we got a good spirited fight today. You're not angry at me.
We could come together on Menendez. We could talk about.
I can't say his name.
Menendez.
We're out of time. Look, we're gonna have to put more money in the meter if we keep going. What do you want to say about Menendez? You have 22 seconds. Shoot.
He's going down. He's going down.
He's a rat. He's a rat.
When Fetterman tells you step down, it's all over for you. So he's.
But Fetterman, he told him to step down. He's going to be a rat, though. He's going to rat.
He would be. What a great story that's going to be because he could bring down everybody. So
he was head of the Foreign Relations Committee. He knows every deal, every dirty deal that was done.
And one last thing I want to say. Everybody wants no one to have guns. They want it to be that we have too many guns in this country. After what took place in Israel, there are more Jews standing in line to buy guns right now in this country than ever before. More people are arming themselves now than ever before.
All right, if my kids are listening, that's a good Christmas present for me. Good Hanukkah.
I've never owned a gun.
Neither have I, but maybe you get it for me for Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever.
I've never owned a gun, but you know what? Maybe a little SIG or a little Walther PPK.
Right.
Something like that. Why not? You know?
All right, folks, you can find us on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Apple, cuttyandgovyshow.com or cuttyandgovy.com is our website. We are all sold out of our merchandise. We sold thousands of them.
We'll have it this week.
Yeah, we're over 120,000, 121,000. I don't even know the number, listeners, but we'll have new stuff this week. Come on back and watch the show next week.
Go Israel.
Go Israel. Talk to you later.
'Cause I'm only one.